Hope Community Church. It's Caleb and Jordan and Kaylee Landis, and we're here to talk to you about Nehemiah chapter 3. So this chapter discusses the builders along the wall, and it goes through each of the various gates of the city. And in reading a little blurb from my Bible here, it talks about the city had 10 gates, and that all of them needed either repaired in some manner, or some of them needed completely rebuilt. And it talks about the ones needing complete replacement are the sheep gate, the fish gate, the Jeshaniah or old gate, the valley gate, the dung gate, and the fountain gate. And the ones that needed repaired were the water gate, not to be confused with President Nixon, the horse gate, the east gate, and the inspection gate. And it talks about how the gates would likely have been these really massive doorways because they would need to accommodate traffic going both ways in and out of the city, and probably would have needed to accommodate fully loaded camels and other animals tracking through. And so these are really big, massive projects that the entire city's undertaking. We're going to read for you today verses 17 through 27. Jordan's going to read for us, and then we'll unpack what's going on in the chapter and have a short discussion with you. Jordan, you want to read for us?
Sure can. Next to him, the repairs were made by the Levites under Raham son of Bani. Beside him, Hashabiah, ruler of half the district of Keilah, carried out repairs for his district. Next to him, the repairs were made by their fellow Levites under Binwi, son of Henadad, ruler of the other half district of Keilah. And next to him, Azer, son of Jeshua, ruler of Mizpah, repaired another section, from a point facing the ascent to the armory as far as the angle of the wall. Next to him, Baruch, son of Zabbai, zealously repaired another section, from the angle to the entrance of the house of Eliashib the high priest. Next to him, Meremoth, son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz, repaired another section, from the entrance of Eliashib's house to the end of it. The repairs next to him were made by the priests from the surrounding region, and beyond them, Benjamin and Hashab made repairs in front of their house, and next to them, Azariah, son of Maaseiah, the son of Ananiah, made repairs beside his house. Next to him, Binwi, son of Henadad, repaired another section from Azariah's house to the angle in the corner, and Palal, son of Uzai, worked opposite the angle and the tower projecting from the upper palace near the court of the guard. Next to him, Pedaiah, son of Parash, and the temple servants living on the hill of Ophel made repairs up to a point opposite the water gate toward the east and the projecting tower. Next to them, the men of Tekoa repaired another section, from the great projecting tower to the wall of Ophel.
So I know it's not the most exciting section, and this isn't the most exciting chapter in the Bible. It's a lot of names, a lot of so-and-so repairing next to so-and-so in this section of the wall, but I think there's a lot to pick up here on that's applicable to our church. So the first is just starting at the beginning of the chapter. I know that we didn't read that, but it starts with the priests working at the sheep gate, and then it works counterclockwise through the various gates of the city, and it covers a wide range of individuals. And I think the biggest takeaway from this whole section, this whole chapter, is that the body can come together when unified under common and divine purpose, and it can accomplish such miraculous feats. These walls had laid in ruins for many years, and now, with few people, with limited resources, Nehemiah had conjured a workforce that was motivated and connected and under the common, unified, and divine goal, and was able to accomplish something in just a short period of time that had laid in ruins for so many years. And so that's something that we as a church need to keep in mind too, is looking at our homes and our communities, and even in our church, for areas that may have been broken or maybe still lay broken, and how can we come together as a church and rebuild that under God's kingdom purpose and advance His kingdom. The other thing I want to point out is it says that there were repairs done by priests, by rulers. In a couple verses it mentions goldsmiths, perfume makers, even mentions one ruler that his daughters were getting involved. And I think the cool thing about that is that when God's working, everyone can contribute. And there's no excuse to be on the sidelines watching. Everyone can do it. And the other thing is to note the location of where these people worked. And so it mentioned a couple times about people working beside their houses. And there's actually a little excerpt here that I want to read to you from a commentary by Tony Evans. There are a couple sections I want to read, and one section touches on that, and then I'll read a few more. So he says that the priest made repairs, each opposite his own house. Why? First, for the sake of time. They did not have far to go, so they could give more time to getting the work done. Second, this would ensure excellence. If a man is fixing a wall outside his home, it will be a well-fixed wall. Third, this allowed whole families to get involved. Thus, Nehemiah masterfully gave his craftsmen personal investments in the work. So it's important to know that God does want us to have personal investment in our work. And a few more pieces from my commentary here. It says this whole passage is full of phrases like after them and next to them, showing how the people combined forces to get the job done. And when you have a puzzle, you have protrusions and indentations. The protrusions represent the strengths, and the indentations reflect the weaknesses. Your protrusion in a puzzle fits another piece's indentations, so that you link up. If we link our strengths with someone else's weaknesses and vice versa, then we can put something on display worth looking at. And another section that I really like the way Tony puts this, he says, I love that this chapter's list includes men's names. These guys have been there all the time, doing nothing. A reminder that Satan's greatest victory against spiritual progress in a nation is the removal of men from the spiritual sphere. If you're going to rebuild families and communities, you're going to need men to stop wimping out and making excuses. There's a place for sports and entertainment, but all of that is secondary to what men were created to do. Manhood requires taking responsibility for the challenges you face. Whenever you are being irresponsible, you're not being a kingdom man. And then one last point to look at, Jordan finished on verse 27, which mentions the men of Tekoa that repaired in other sections from the great projecting tower to the wall of Ophel. The men of Tekoa are also mentioned in verse 5, and it says the next section was repaired by the men of Tekoa, but their nobles would not put their shoulders to the work under their supervisors. So the men of Tekoa repaired two sections, and something to keep in mind is just when you finish the original task you had doesn't mean that you're done. God can still use you. And these men were effective workers, and they were able to repair two sections. So I think something cool to pick out and remember as you read through these names. So thanks for joining us, Hope Community Church. Hope you're having a great day.